So I have some good news to relay to you guys. Not only did the gay marriage bill pass the Senate, it actually passed with 62 votes. So it got more than the 60 that they needed to get it by. So just to refresh everybody on this real quick, the bill is, so there was a bill that was just basically keeping the status quo, which is gay marriage is legal everywhere in the country. They brought that bill up for a vote in the House. It passed the House. However, there were 157 Republicans who voted against it, okay? In the Senate, that bill was going to come up, but they didn't have 60 votes for it. So what the Senate did is they sat down and they negotiated and they came to this compromise. Gay marriage is going to continue to be a right, but they're allowing this religious liberty caveat and provision. And basically what that means is if there are churches around the country or religious institutions around the country that are ideologically opposed to gay marriage, they can say, like, we don't want to gay marry you, we don't want to have a ceremony for you, but that couple can just go somewhere else and legally get gay married, whether it's to a government office or to a different church or whatever. So, look, it is watering it down a little bit, but if the Supreme Court overturns gay marriage completely, which is possible because Clarence Thomas said he kind of wanted to do that, and who knows what will happen in the future, right? But if the Supreme Court does overturn the right to gay marriage, you do want some sort of legislation codifying the protection of the right. So even though it is sort of a middle ground, I think it's better than getting nothing passed. And also, by the way, this bill protects interracial marriage. So, yeah, anyway. So it was 62 to 37. I think every Democrat voted for it, and I'll give you, there are 12 Republicans who voted for it to advance the bill. Blunt, Burr, Capito, Collins, Ernst, Lummis, Murkowski, Portman, Romney, Sullivan, Tillis, and Young. So these were the more, you could say, moderate Republicans. There were still, what is it, 37 Republicans who voted against it, I think the number was. So, but now here's the crazy thing. So conservative media, they're outing themselves as way further to the right than a lot of U.S. senators on this issue, a lot of Republican senators on this issue. The fact that Mitt Romney is more moderate and more reasonable than Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh and the Daily Wire crew, I mean, that really is something, right? These are the people who are trying to steer the young conservative movement. But look, gay marriage is a 70% issue. So it's overwhelmingly popular. Only 30% of the country is against it. And by the way, the more time goes by, the more the support of it is going to go up and up and up. There's going to come a time when it's like 90%. In the same way that interracial marriage over time has become just, not even a debatable issue. It's got to be over 90% support for it, right? So anyway, let's see what these guys are saying, how they're melting down in the wake of this bill passing.
But put aside the rule of construction, the thing that's really amazing to me is that it is now apparently the law of the land and societal rule that the only rationale that you would possibly have for saying that a marriage is between a man and a woman is because you're a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim. That's really
Correct.
The only reason at all.
Correct. I don't know why he's mocking that idea. Yeah. It's religious. It's religious in nature. It's social convention. It's religious. Yeah, it's cultural, but it's relatively recent in history. These guys pretend like this is the way it's always been forever, bro. I don't know what you're talking about. We lived in hunter-gatherer tribes for a really long time. And we had like a polygamous situation, or actually technically the term is polygyny, which is one man and multiple women. Like, that's the way it was. It's relatively recent, and it is a religious phenomenon and a cultural phenomenon that you had one man, one woman. And so it's absolutely subject to change. Anything that's, social convention is subject to change. But they act like that's impossible. It's really unbelievable.
It will allow you to have these crazy beliefs so long as you can show that they're crazy beliefs. So long as you can show that the reason that you believe that marriage is between a man and a woman is because you read it in a book and because you really believe the book. They keep saying sincere religious belief. I don't even know how you measure sincere religious belief. Are we going to now monitor how often you go to church or to synagogue, whether you keep kosher or whether you take communion in order to determine your sincere? The same media that declares that Nancy Pelosi is a sincere religious believer who's just for the mass abortion of unborn children will declare that you, Matt Walsh, are not actively in favor of the things that you're in favor of. You're just a religious bigot. You're a bigot, right? And your religion is a cover for your bigotry.
Again, he's mocking this idea. But let me ask you a question. If somebody came out today and said, I don't believe in interracial marriage, what would you say about that person? If somebody said we should ban interracial marriage, what would you say about that person? Would it be fair to call that person a bigot? Not only is it fair, It's fucking obvious. But with gay people, somehow it's different? Why would it be any different? Why would it be any different at all? It's amazing to me. Like, they are stuck in a previous generation, and their arguments aren't remotely convincing.
I'm highly annoyed by the constant derogation of non-religious arguments into religious arguments. And this is what the left loves to do. They like to say, you're pro-life. The reason you're pro-life is because of your crazy religion. And so maybe we can respect your...
Okay. With a lot of them, it is that. Probably a majority of people who are pro-life. It is because of their... It is because of religious reasons. Right now, they happen to misread the Bible because there's literally abortion in the Bible and it is prescribed if your wife cheats on you, right? But there's still a religious foundation for a lot of people who are pro-life. It doesn't have to be in that case, right? With the issue of abortion, you can be secular and be pro-life. I think that's true. Now, again, it happens to be a minority, but there certainly are people who are secular and are pro-life. On this issue of gay marriage, I'm unaware of, like, anybody. Maybe there's a handful, maybe there's like 2-3% or whatever it is, who are not religious but are anti-gay marriage because of, I don't know, fill in the blank. You tell me if you happen to be non-religious and anti-gay marriage. Is it just like a culture thing? Is it just, this is the way we've done it, so we should keep doing it this way? Is it just a, I think gays are icky thing? Like, I don't know, right? But it's such a weird objection that he's making here.
Crazy religion along those. That is not the argument for marriage. The argument for marriage has literally nothing to do with religion. You could be a visitor from Mars, and you could see that all of human procreation relies on man, woman, child. This is not particularly difficult stuff. By essentially...
Okay, so let's take this to its conclusion. What are you afraid of, then? If you allow gay marriage, what are you afraid of? Is the fear that in the long run, everybody will be gay, and so nobody will procreate anymore? Is that the fear? Because that's what it sounds like, right? Oh, a Martian could even come here and say, oh my God, this is wrong because it takes a man and a woman in order to make a baby, and you need society to continue, so you need that. But if we allow gay marriage, you're allowing the people who are gay to get gay married if they so choose. So that would mean, what? 5%, 10%, maybe maximum 20% of the country gets to do that if they so choose? Which leaves, minimum 80% of the country still heterosexual, still, if they want to get married, if they so choose to have children. I mean, his arguments are such fucking shit. They're such dog shit. And then these are the same people who pretend like they are big believers in freedom. They don't believe in freedom at all. They don't believe in the freedom to choose to get an abortion, even if it's in like the first fucking 6 weeks. And they clearly don't believe in the right to get gay married at all. So just spare me your bullshit. If you're gonna make this argument, then for the love of God, never say you're in favor of freedom and liberty ever again.
Boxing in the argument in favor of traditional marriage into, well, if you're a crazy religious believer, maybe we'll let you have that. But if you're a cake baker, then we're not sure about that, right? I mean, like, we're not sure how far.
Yeah, on this point, he's right, but he's on the wrong side of it. So in other words, he's saying, what a weird thing to put into this compromise. That, if you do have a religious objection, then you don't have to directly gay marry somebody. They have to go somewhere else, right? And he's like, well, how do you prove that somebody actually is a sincere religious believer? Do you just take them at their word, or do they have to meet some criteria or whatever? Now, he's right that that's sort of like a weird objection, but the reaction to that is you shouldn't allow any of those caveats. People should just, if you provide marriages, you shouldn't be able to arbitrarily discriminate and say, if you're gay, we're not going to marry you. So he's right to object. He's wrong about the conclusion. His conclusion is like, nobody should be able to get gay married, right? But the real thing should be, in the same way that nobody should be able to reject an interracial marriage on ideological grounds or religious grounds, they shouldn't be able to reject a gay marriage on ideological grounds or religious grounds, because it is arbitrary discrimination based on a characteristic that an individual cannot control. Why would you fault them for that? Why would you blame them for that? Why would you change the trajectory of their life and their ability to be happy because of that? Now, again, he'll pretend, in his case, like, oh, no, it's got nothing to do with religion. No, it does have to do with religion. It does, Ben. At least be honest. At least admit that. Because he talks all the time about, I'm a devout religious Jew, and then now he's like, bro, you don't even need to be religious to be against gay marriage. Well, it just so happens that the overwhelming majority of the people who are against gay marriage are religious.
This religious liberty thing extends, what you're really doing is you're setting the ground game at same-sex marriage and traditional marriage are completely the same thing. And if you object to it, the only reason that will even allow you to do that is because of this crazy thing called religion.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much true. I mean, I'm sure there's a handful of people who are non-religious and anti-gay marriage, but they're just confused and believe very, very shitty arguments, right? Fundamentally, if you believe in individual rights and liberty and freedom, then you're going to come to the conclusion, what difference does it make if people want to get gay married and it makes them happy, go right ahead. So now this is the second day in a row these assholes are fucking melting down over gay marriage. Can you imagine in the year of our Lord 2022 melting down over gay marriage? I mean, it's beyond pathetic, you know, and I hope everybody who's part of their audience is watching this, because my guess is even the Daily Wire audience, I mean, maybe like 60 or 70% of them are anti-gay marriage, but there's a hefty chunk that's definitely not anti-gay marriage, right? So I hope people are paying attention, because, like, what is at the core of Ben Shapiro's politics and Matt Walsh's politics? What is at the core of it? Well, they clearly believe first and foremost in the culture war, and they take the authoritarian position in the culture war of they want to control people's lives. And then beyond that on economics, they're just run-of-the-mill, hardcore capitalists that believe in deregulation and cutting taxes for the rich. What the fuck is appealing about that? Answer, nothing. So here we are, a situation where now even the Senate, 62 senators, say, yeah, we need to protect, to one extent or another, the right to gay marry. Ben Shapiro's out there leading the charge against it. Again, you want to talk about, I'm not a big fan of like the, history won't judge this kindly argument. But for real, in this instance, history will not judge it kindly. In the same way that Ben Shapiro, when the Iraq War happened, he was front and center making shitty arguments about how war in Iraq is the right thing to do. History did not judge that kindly. History will not judge this kindly, and it's kind of pathetic.